Well, you know what I learned from that is that it's very fulfilling to help people because it's, people's kids. But then to transition into real estate, I'm not only helping people's children now, but I'm helping whole families. I'm helping their grandparents, right? So it's just branching out into helping more of, more people now instead of just in the classroom.
When I set a vision in my life and I look at my faith, my family, my business, my health, my wealth, I want other people in these real stories to hear the real stories of that journey.
I have everything that I've wanted, like in terms of family life, beautiful wife, making good money, and like my world's upside down right now in my head.
God is so good. He shows us his hands. Like people think miracles are like someone being instantly healed. It's so much more than that. They can be the smallest things where he shows his goodness in your life.
If you think of something and you believe it and you see it in your mind, it's meant for you. Go chase it.
See you in the next episode of Real Stories. Welcome back to Real Stories with Jamie Lee Bongard, where we dive into the journeys behind the titles, the moments of risk, faith, and purpose that shape who we become. Today's guest is someone whose story is all about courage, change, and stepping into the unknown. He grew up in the small northern town of Deep River, where bears roamed the streets and community meant everything. He played competitive baseball all the way to the Canadian Championships there. He started his career in hospitality at Deerhurst Resort far from home and spent 15 years as a teacher before taking one of the biggest risks of his life, leaving the classroom to pursue real estate full-time. That decision completely transformed his path. Today, he's ranked number 19 nationally amongst all individual realtors with Keller Williams in Canada. But this episode isn't about the numbers. It's about the story behind them. The lessons, the leap of faith, and the story at the root of it all. He's proof that it's never too late to reinvent yourself, that courage creates opportunity, and that when you live with purpose, the rewards go far beyond the paycheck. Today, we'll talk about what drove him to take that leap, what he's learned about growth, balance, and success, and why he believes you only have one shot at life. So take that risk before you reach 100 and wish you had. Let's dive into the real story of Matt Petrovich. So Matt, you've built one of the most respected and successful individual real estate businesses at Keller Williams Experience in Barrie. And for those who might not know your full story, can you give us a peek behind the curtain and just share a little bit about what you're building right now?
Well, I've been a solo agent for about a little over a year now. So there's still some systems to try to get, put into place. Honestly, just keep on getting that lead generation up. I have a lot of goals. So, just trying to fulfill those. I also have another real estate business as well on the investing side. So really trying to, fulfill as much as I can in a very short amount of time in the day. Sometimes those hours go by pretty quick, but it's really important just to, keep yourself focused, grounded, making sure you're doing your best for your clients and,
keep on building.
Yeah, just keep on going. Yeah.
Who are you helping? Like, do you have a certain niche of clients that you find you get coming to you? Do you do more on the listing end, buyer end, a mix of both?
A lot of listings, honestly. I'm going to be completely honest. To market yourself to buyers is a little tricky, right? So a lot of the buyers I work with are people who have already sold their houses. And then sometimes a lead will come through and it's a first-time home buyer who I love working with. First-time home buyers are the best to work with, to help them to, find that first home and help them through the process. But a lot of people are looking to sell their houses, and people are selling their houses for many various reasons, right? So it's very fulfilling to help them through those, different reasons why that they have to sell. Yeah.
And what part of your work gets you the most fired up right now? What are you most excited about?
Right now, well, honestly, seeing how happy somebody is when you've helped them sell their house or buy a house, right? So, I've had some stories which people really needed that help, right? And then to help them through that process, some people know a little bit more than others, but some with that hand holding and able to, get them to the finish line is very, very fulfilling. And then, when a client says, hey, can we take you out for lunch, right? It validates the fact that, oh, you know what? I'm actually helping people and making people feel good.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you really do put your clients first. You care a lot about them.
Yeah.
I mean, the more people that hear about this and see it, they're going to be calling you. So prepare yourself to be quite busy. That's why I keep telling you, you're going to be very busy. Take us back to your earlier days being raised, you said, in Deep River.
Mm-hmm.
What was life like growing up there, and how do you think it shaped who you are today?
Deep River's it's an interesting community. You know, it's basically you take a town, you plop it in the middle of a forest, in the middle of nowhere, right? And it had to be. It was, you know, you had a nuclear facility where most of the people worked, right? So it had to be somewhat secluded just in case there was an emergency. Bears walk the streets, you know, like I couldn't go for recess sometimes when I was a kid because there was a bear in the yard. And if the classroom was facing the yard, you'd be able to see the bear. But, you know what? It was a tight knit community, you know, everyone pretty much knew each other. Right. So, you know, my high school was small. I always thought that there's more outside of this small town. Mm-hmm. So I really, you know, thought to myself, I want to branch out. I want to explore the world. And honestly, like, you know, build something that is beyond, you know, the confines of this small town. I'm a small town boy at heart, though. Yeah.
Geographically, just so our listeners know, where is it? Like in Canada somewhere?
Yeah, so it's like basically right in the middle between North Bay and Ottawa, up on Highway 17 on the Ottawa River.
Okay.
So you look across the river, it's Quebec.
Yeah.
Right. So you got the Laurentian Mountains. Beautiful time of year right now with the colors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was, you could go anywhere and feel safe, right? You can bike, you could be out, you know, past dark. And, you know, back in the day, you didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
My parents, did they worry? Maybe, but, you know, they knew that it was a safe community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've had a few chapters in your journey from hospitality at Deerhurst to 15 years in teaching. What did each of those seasons teach you about leadership, communication, or service?
In the hospitality industry, the people, the guests, they're the number one focus. And if they're unhappy, then you have to do everything you can to try to make it right, right? So it's really easy then to transition to a real estate job after doing that, because you realize what, you know, how to service your clients, right? How to make them happy. And if somebody wasn't happy, you know, at Deerhurst, you just listen to them, right? Hey, how can I make it better for you?
Yeah.
Right. And that's sort of like, you know, in this business as well. Like you say to your clients, how can I help? What do you need, basically? And then you're there for them. Right.
So it obviously 15 years there would have had an impact on how you show up for people today. You've had some training in that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it wasn't 15 years at Deerhurst, but I was actually a teacher beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went from teaching into real estate. So how do you feel? Do you feel you learned any lessons in like patience? Or...
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You have to be patient, right? I mean, you're working with, you know, with kids and with various different types of learning styles, right? So obviously patience, but, you know what I learned from that is that, it's very fulfilling to help people because it's, you know, people's kids, but then to transition into real estate, I'm not only helping people's children now, but I'm helping whole families. I'm helping their grandparents, right? So it's just branching out into helping more people now instead of just, you know, in the classroom.
That's great. And what drew you into real estate? Was it the investing you were doing while still teaching? And can you share a little bit about that?
I started investing in 2018, bought two condos, new build condos. And I mean, it's been an interesting experience just starting with that. But then now I'm growing and expanding that investing portfolio over the years. And now it's really been starting to take off as, you know, creating that other business side of things. And you know what? People think that you need to have a lot of money to invest. Which people, you know, the Scotiabank motto, you're richer than you think, you really are.
Yeah.
Right. People have, you know, ways to be able to invest in real estate and they might not know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's obviously a passion of yours. Are there people that you have educated or that reach out to you? Do they know your knowledge yet in that arena?
Friends.
Okay.
Yeah, friends, family. So I have, a bunch of my friends will pick my brain and, ask me questions. Some clients do too, but, investor clients, a lot of times they already know.
Yeah.
So, it's mostly, friends and family who are reaching and say, hey, like, do you have any tips or how do you start? And I'm love to help because, why not help somebody else too? Yeah.
I mean, I see a huge, huge opportunity in you helping create a lot of family wealth and helping people leave a legacy, because right now it really is an incredible time. Like interest rates are finally dipping.
Yes.
Prices have been going down. There's lots on the market. Do you see the same?
Yes. No matter what, it's always a good time to invest.
Yeah.
People say like, should I do it now? You should have done it yesterday or,
Yes.
Years ago. Right. But yes, today is the day to start in something like that. Interest rates, if they're high, prices might be lower, but if those interest rates go down, then prices might go up in the house. So you got to find that balance in the market. Yeah.
When did you know it was time to take a leap of faith and walk away from a secure teaching career and just go all in on real estate?
That was hard. It was hard because teaching, right? It's a secure job. You have a pension, summer's off, right? But I just knew that there was more for me, more out there. I loved teaching for a long time, but then just knowing that, I have a lot of goals in my life, a lot of a big why in my life, which is my family. So to be able to, take that leap and, do something that is a bit of a risk, don't be afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
Right. What's the worst that could happen? So, just taking that. I really truly believe that if you don't take that risk, will you ever?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Every big success comes with a breaking point or a turning point. Was there a moment when everything shifted for you personally or professionally?
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, right? Like my two daughters, they're now at an age where it's a lot easier for me to, take that kind of risk. So you really have to, make sure that the timing works. You don't just go and do something just because you want to do it necessarily. It has to be, have some type of strategy to it. But now that my girls are older, it's a lot easier for me to be able to, have hours that are not necessarily structured, right? I might have to, up and leave to go do a showing, at dinner time, right? And, back, when they were younger, it was a lot harder, especially in the summer, when your wife is working and, it's just a lot easier now that they're older. So that's the answer to the question is that the personal side is, I had to weigh when it was time when my family was ready for it.
Okay. Yeah. What fears or doubts did you have to overcome in that season?
Of leaving when I left teaching?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. It's just the security because you know that you're getting a paycheck every couple of weeks, right? And in this business, obviously that's not the case. So, and then it's, it's something that is a little bit unfamiliar and doing something for so long, right? It's just, you started to get, pretty good at it. At one point, the younger teachers were then starting to come to me for advice. And I thought to myself, when did that happen? So it was like that comfort, that comfort zone that you had to kind of, take that leap from.
Yeah.
So.
What role did your family, especially your wife, play in helping you stay focused and grounded through the transition?
I mean, she's super supportive. Right. So, and when I had some doubts, it's okay to have some doubts when you're taking a risk, just to have that encouragement, and faith that you're going to be able to, succeed. Right. And you know what, if something doesn't work out, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you got to make mistakes sometimes in order for, to succeed. Right. I saw a quote. It's, if everything seems to be easy going ahead in life, then maybe you're going downhill.
Yeah.
Right. So, to have some struggles and some adversity is really good, right? You're growing, you're bettering yourself.
Yeah. You're learning along the path when not everything is just simple. You actually learn the most, I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
Can you share a client story or experience that still gives you goosebumps, a moment that reminded you of why you decided to get into real estate, or even a personal investing story of a really cool investment you made that panned out extremely well, that you definitely don't regret?
I mean, there's lots actually, but one that comes to mind. I had it was a farm for sale, and she was getting on in age. She couldn't keep up with the farm and whatnot. She ended up passing away, unfortunately. And then the three daughters ended up getting the farm, inheriting the farm, and then helping them to put that closure to it after having their mom or their parents who owned that farm for so many years, right? And then help them to sell that finally, put that closure to their the past. That was really fulfilling. Another cool story was I had a house for sale, and off of Instagram, actually, somebody called me and they wanted to see it, and I showed it to him and his mom, and he goes, "This is a house that Dad built."
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?" And he was, "Yeah, my dad built this house." And he was going through, he was pointing out different things about the house, and he had a baby on the way, so he's like, "I want this house because I want to raise my kid in the house that my dad built."
I love that.
I thought it was pretty cool.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah.
And then I'll just flip it, because I do see you having walked the walk of learning about investing and strategies and having that really help you in your life. I do see you helping more investors, not that are so well versed in it, but maybe families that want to understand and learn how to do this for themselves. So do you have a neat story of an investment you have, or a success from what you've learned in investing that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So just to, figure out that you don't need to have a whole bunch of money saved up. There's ways. So, what we bought our first, a couple of places up in Northern Ontario just by taking some equity out of our house. Right. And then, that money that's sitting there, if it's not, doing work for you, I call it couch potato money, right?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything, right? It's lazy money. So, putting that money to work is one of the smartest things. So that would actually, you just have that light bulb, because then things could snowball after that. You figure out, different ways, different strategies. And so, yeah, that was a success story there. So we bought, a couple of duplexes up in Timmins, actually. Great place to invest at the time. And yeah, I'm still learning. You never stop learning about how to make better investments, or
And so those are rented, right?
Yeah.
So along the journey, the rent will help pay the mortgage, and as equity builds up, what can you do with that? Take out more.
Exactly.
Invest again.
It's just
Keep
a snowball.
snowballing.
It's just recycling that money.
Is there
Right,
a book you read when you first started your journey, or something that kind of made you go, okay, this could be something that I could do? And is there a book that you could recommend others to read? Did you learn from somewhere specifically, or just kind of did it?
I just kind of did it, to be honest. Yeah, no, I didn't really, read it. I mean, obviously, to ask certain questions to certain people, and some people who have done it before.
Yeah.
I've had family members who have had investments, but having a mentor too in that field, right? Like, there's a couple of mentors that I have had over the years and still do. They have like over 1,000 doors to their name. That's crazy.
Yeah,
right.
It's
but
incredible.
A world of of wealth of a wealth of knowledge there to to tap into. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Ask people, right? And people are very much willing to help.
Yes.
Right. So yeah.
You're obviously ranked now amongst top realtors in the country, which is pretty incredible. What in that keeps you grounded day to day?
Just knowing that could change, right? You don't know what the market's going to do. You just can't take anything for granted and get complacent. You just have to keep on, for me, it's not, okay, I got to this point and now I could take a step back. It's, I want to keep going.
Yeah.
Or not even just keep going, but I want to be better.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that's like keeping grounded necessarily, but what it is just, what, always strive to be better yourself. And it's okay to have goals that change. You know, you could have a goal of making a certain amount of money, or helping a certain amount of clients, or freeing up a certain amount of time to spend with family. But once you achieve that goal, don't just sit back and say, oh, okay, I'm good.
Can relax,
right?
yeah.
It's like, okay, the goal has to advance.
Yeah. So I know you're competitive from an earlier conversation we've had, which is interesting because you don't necessarily think going into a conversation with someone from Deep River, small town, loves his family, loves his wife, is going to be like, no, I'm ready for the next deal. So what and where do you think that you get that from? And why, like, what's your big why? What is your reason for being so competitive and eager to stay on top of things?
Yeah. I mean, where I get it from, I mean, I always love sports. Right. So obviously that's a natural way to, you know, start getting competitive. And then it just from an early age, you know, I used to, you know, go play, you know, game sports with my dad, you know, things like, so just that. But in terms of the why, like, I think the competitive too is that, well, it feels good, you know, when you actually succeed. But my two daughters, right, I want to, you know, keep on striving to leave them, you know, a legacy, and see that, you know, my dad's a hardworking guy, right? Look at what he's building, right? And it's a good example. So I think that's what drives me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some habits, mindsets, or belief that feel, I guess, separate you, or things that you do on the daily that I guess you could recommend other agents do, or even other people do that want to create a successful business?
Just don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, right? It's going to happen. Like if you're, you know, I can't remember the exact quote, and I can't remember exactly who said it, but it's something like the person who never makes mistakes isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, throughout the day, you know, I'm a little bit, I should be more structured, to be completely honest, but you know, what I do is I say, well, what do I want to achieve this day? You know, if I'm going out, say, door knocking, how many doors am I going to hit? How many leads do I want to get from that? How many listing appointments am I going to book? If I don't book any, well, okay, you know, at least you tried.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that's really important, is to each day have some type of goal, because if you achieve it, then it's a win, and that feels good.
Yes.
Right. And that's going to then make you want to keep going. Right. And I think sometimes, you know, people get frustrated. And it's, you know, there's been you know, weeks where it's like, I didn't maybe book an appointment, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. You just gotta, you can't quit.
Being comfortable with failing and learning from it.
100%. Yeah.
Is there something that you feel as an agent yourself and being out on the field that separates good agents from great agents?
I think it's just putting in the time, right? If somebody's sitting back waiting for the phone to ring, it's not going to ring, right? So, you know, you got to put in the time, put in the effort. Don't forget to be afraid to ask questions. You know, you could ask other agents, you know. You have the team leads at each office. You have a wealth of resources at each brokerage that you can tap into, and don't be afraid to ask somebody, hey, how do you do your lead generation? Especially the agents who've been doing it for a long time. Doesn't even have to be somebody who is doing a lot of deals.
Yeah,
it's just somebody who's been doing it for a while, right? Who has that wisdom and that you know, that experience. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just you got to put in the time, right? And if you're not, then you may not get those results, unfortunately.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this just because I'm always curious as a brokerage owner with Keller Williams, and specifically Keller Williams in Barrie. Are there any pieces of the models or the systems that you've learned? I know I just introduced the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book to you, so I'm sure this question will be answered differently in a little while. But is there anyone or anything that you've seen inside of any of the brokerages that have helped shape or grow your business or start your business?
I mean, there's a lot of training that's offered, and I mean, I'm kind of guilty of it a way too. I don't go to all the training. I've gone to a few, but I think people just need to, the brokerages are putting in the time and the effort to have different, seminars or whatnot. I think people go to them, right? Why not? That's something that I did. There's people also, like I said, there's people at the brokerage who are willing to, help with, certain systems that you may not know about, right? And the brokerage, the KW, I find it's more like a family almost. Like people are really wanting to help.
Yeah.
I walk into still the brokerage up in Barrie, and there's agents who are saying, hey, like, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And then they pull up their computer and they'll show me how to do it on, on Command or on Treb or something, right? And I think that's, I think what KW and what yourself and the team leads have built at the brokerages, I think it's very tight knit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that is the culture for sure. It's a family culture. It's always about sharing, and I can't wait to connect you as well to more agents in the Durham region, because I think you'll create a great referral network.
For sure. Yeah.
When you think about success today, how do you define it differently than when you first started in this business?
I think it's honestly just, I don't know if it's changed too much, to be completely honest. For me, success is just, are you happy? Right? I mean, does money buy happiness? And, maybe it helps a little bit, I suppose. But in terms of like, are you happy in your life? Are you content? Right? Am I happy? Yes. Am I content? Yes. What I want to, obviously I want to, strive to be better, do more, keep building my business and whatnot. Right. But that's what keeps me. And that to me is success, right? Because once I start going backwards or stop wanting to better myself or whatnot, I don't know if that's successful anymore.
Yeah.
Right. To me, success is not, one milestone that you have achieved. It's how much more can you do? Right?
Building on top of.
Building on top. Is there something to build upon?
Yeah.
Because if there's not anything to build upon, were you successful? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different for everybody, obviously, but for me, I think that's how it goes.
Okay. What are the core values that guide you, how you live and how you run your business and how you lead your family?
Respect. I think that's a big one. Respect for, just people. Everyone has their own ways of thinking, their own ways of doing things. And, just doing your best at all times in a trustworthy manner for your clients. And then that is going to bleed over into, showing the family or my kids, how they should be acting, how they should be treating other people. Right. So I think everything just boils down to respect, when it comes down to, core values. And then once you have that for people, then all the other values are going to, they're going to come and fall into place. Right. So I think that. Yeah.
When other agents or people are looking to reinvent themselves and might ask you for advice, because you obviously kind of did when you started your business and went from teaching, what advice would you give them? What would be the first thing you'd tell them if they were looking to get into real estate, or if a client was looking to invest in real estate?
I mean, what I think we would do is ask them why they want to.
Okay.
If it's just to make money, okay, but I think it's got to be more than just a job sometimes, because you're dealing with people's real lives.
Yes.
Right. You're dealing with their biggest investment of their life.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I'd flip it. Like, why do you want to get into it? What's the purpose? What's your why? Right. And it's not for everybody, for sure. Just like how teaching isn't, how, being a police officer isn't. Right. But, so my advice then, if they wanted to pursue it, again, I'd say, you got to put in the time. You have to set your goals. You have to not be afraid to fail, and there's going to be adversity. The market isn't always going to be good.
Nope.
Right.
We've seen that for the past couple
so
of years.
I think that, the advice would be to don't give up. Yeah.
What do you hope that your daughters will one day say when they look back and learn from watching your journey?
That it was okay to take that risk, right? Don't be complacent. If you're not happy with something, then change, right? So, I kind of say, like, I've had some friends who were, maybe complaining about their situation or something, whether it be, job or whatever. And I'd say, you know what, if you're not going to change it or not willing to change it, then you can't complain.
Yeah.
Right. If, some people can't change the situation, I understand, but I mean, if you're not willing to at least change something about it or make, any kind of difference in that scenario, then can't complain. So what I want to say to, like, I want my girls to see is that, he did something that was a risk, something that did, ended up, working out, but he didn't know. Right. And so to, just lead that example of change is good.
Yeah. And a good example of taking a risk and not being scared to learn or fail and just keep going.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say you want to be remembered for, not just as an agent, but as a man, a husband, and a father?
A hard worker, somebody who just really cared about not only family, but just, people in general, right? Just being a good human being. I don't know how else to explain it, right? If you're a good human being, everything else is going to fall into place, right?
Yeah.
And how that looks, people might have different, ideas of what that looks like. But at the end, if you have those core values, if you, do show that respect, I think that that's really important. And I hope that people would say, you know what, was he always perfect? No, nobody is. But did he strive to get there? That's commendable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If we sat down a year from now, what would we be celebrating together?
So here's a bit of my competitive nature coming out here. Being number one in the country would be amazing.
Okay.
Right. But that's not necessarily a goal for a year. But, I was in the top 10 at one point this year, which was, felt actually really humbled. Like I didn't expect that when I got that result. But then I said, okay, well, maybe I'll shoot for top 5. Right. But to be able to sit down with you and, cheers a drink or something, say, I made number 1. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see us doing that.
Yeah.
Even with all of your success and clarity, is there something or a riddle you're still trying to solve, or something that I could potentially connect you with somebody to help you get towards solving?
I mean, I would love it if I got more people calling, versus me having to go out and lead generation. Like I hear stories about, and it's mostly agents who've been around for a long time, but just getting phone calls and saying, hey, I'm ready to list my house, or I'm ready for, a move or whatever, right? I'm getting some of them, which is kind of nice, but to be able to, just create all of my business off of something like that, that's a good goal to have.
And if there was a couple of areas of your favorite types of buyers that you really enjoy working with, what would you say that is?
Well, there's 2. I like I mentioned before, I do like the first time home buyers. Like to see them get their first house and like how happy they are.
Yeah.
That's cool. Another one too are the downsizers.
Yeah.
Like people who, it's just for whatever reason, it's too big of a house or too big of a property, and they need to downsize. And that's really fulfilling too, to help somebody to, be able to find that home that they can settle in, and it may be their last move. So to be able to help them with their last move, their last purchase, that's a good feeling as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you about today that would be something in your mind you'd love to share, talk about more?
I mean, I do love, real estate. So we talked a lot about that. In terms of just my, personal side of things, right? Like I do really enjoy travel. right? Like if we just did a travel podcast, it'd be kind of cool. But I like hearing other people's travel stories and, sharing some of mine too.
Where are some spots you've traveled to?
We just did a trip in the summertime to Italy, which was
nice.
super cool.
You're with your wife and kids?
Wife and kids,
Where
yeah. We
did you
take them
go?
everywhere. Like a lot of people, we went to Rome, down to Amalfi Coast, Florence and Tuscany.
Oh, nice.
And Venice, right? So
Nice.
kind of like the big ones. But
we
take our
did
girls.
that with our kids. Rome is so cool. Like there's so much to see there. It was always sort of, because I lived in Switzerland, it was always just sort of like a flow through, and I'd stop and kind of be there. But when I went with my kids, it was just eye-opening the first time going back, because there's so many neat things for them to learn and see.
It's unbelievable.
Did you go out to the catacombs by chance?
No, we didn't do that. Yeah.
Okay, next
There's just
time.
so much to see that you
really is.
can't
It
like to
doesn't
pack
stop.
it all in. So we did like the major sites, the Colosseum and whatnot.
Yeah.
We did a couple of cool things, like a cooking class in Tuscany, which was
Nice.
really, really cool. It's just, I think, Italy, you could spend years.
It's
Right,
like
and
one of my favorite spots in
yeah,
Europe. The
yeah.
food is so good.
It's good. Yeah.
The sun.
What's interesting about the food is that I don't know how much truth there is to it, but a lot of people say that if some people who have, let's say, a gluten intolerance here, they go there, they could eat the pasta.
So this is a crazy story. When I lived in Europe, between 20, gosh, I'm going to botch the years, so I'm not going to say it. I lived there for like 6 years.
Yeah.
I ate so much bread, cheese, chocolate, pasta, because we'd travel all the time. We lived in Switzerland and we'd just take these cheap flights out. And I lost 10 pounds. I was 10 pounds lighter.
See? Yeah,
eating
right?
this food there. It's mind blowing. And the culture of food and just enjoying the meals, I absolutely love it. So we spend a lot of time traveling as a family too. So I could see us doing just a travel talk podcast,
that'd be
where
fun.
to go with kids, where to go.
Yeah. And food is a big part of the trips for us too. We really enjoyed trying the local delicacies. I'm a little bit more brave than the rest of my
So
family.
what did you try?
Nothing
recently?
crazy there actually, but I've eaten some interesting things.
Where do
just
you have
in other
any?
places,
do you
but-
have any plans in the next year on a trip that you guys are going to go to? Have you planned anything out for the next?
We do
12
have,
months?
we're gonna see how things go. We do. My daughter's in competitive dance.
Okay.
And so which I need to sell a lot of real estate to pay for that, by the way. But so in the summertime, she has dance awards in Vegas. So we're going to be there for a week, and then we're going to tour, around some of the surrounding states, maybe go LA, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's in the horizon there. Who knows? We're sometimes a little bit spontaneous, so maybe we'll do something over Christmas. But
We're the same because
yeah.
our son, I told you, he plays
baseball.
competitive baseball, and so you kind of wait for their schedules, and then you try and plan some trips around what they're doing,
Yeah.
which is awesome. I find it lots of fun. And
Yeah.
being spontaneous with kids is also fun because
Yeah.
they're ready for the next adventure.
Ready to
Or
go.
sometimes if I go somewhere, they'll be like, "Aren't you taking me?"
Right.
I used to try when the little ones were still nursing, I would bring them on my business trips with me and
Nice.
have help there because as a working mother, you just kind of had to go with the flow. And
Yeah.
when we can, we'll tack on the extra couple days and do something fun aside. So, where's another, what's your favorite spot you've ever been?
That's tough. I mean, Italy was pretty cool, but Greece was very awesome. I really like Costa Rica.
Me
actually. Costa Rica it's a beautiful country, right? It's safe. It was interesting. When I came back, I realized that my hair grew really fast. My nails grew really fast.
Yeah.
Because you're in the fresh air, you're in the sunshine, you're in the,
The soil is so rich.
Yeah.
And I'm like, coffee's so healthy here.
yeah, right? Yeah.
It's,
So Costa Rica was pretty cool. Where else? We did Paris was a pretty neat city to see.
There's people who are sort of apprehensive or I don't I'm too busy to travel, or I don't want to do it with kids. You hear like, oh, what are we going to do on the plane for that long?
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom as someone that's just so passionate about traveling and taking kids to see the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for kids to travel and see the world, right? It's one of the best education. We ended up taking, for Costa Rica, we took them out of school for that. And we met some fellow travelers, and they said, aren't they supposed to be in school? And I said, well, yes, but we took them out. And then what they said was, oh, this is the best education.
It's what we
right?
did too.
So, and the kids are very resilient.
Yeah.
You know, like my girls are now older, but
you
we've
know
been
this as a
traveling.
teacher. Like, you know.
Yeah, right?
It's okay.
No, it is okay.
They're going to be okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. You learn so much, right?
Yeah.
You learn, responsibility, but you learn about different cultures, people, food. It's, and then you get to they see their parents in a different light too,
Yeah.
right? Which is really important.
They create, like, some of my core memories as a child and as a parent so far have been just doing things slightly differently, taking the risks. And that does include taking the risk in business, but also with my family. Like during COVID, probably 7 months, no, a bit more, a year in, we just decided the offices are pretty closed up.
Yep.
Kids are on iPads. We're going to call the school, get their paperwork, and travel. So
Yeah.
we left for 2 months 1 year, 3 months the other year.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
just went off the cuff and found reasonable priced Airbnbs. It was very cheap to travel.
Yeah.
And we went to all the places that had sun and warmth and stayed healthy and
Right.
ate healthy food. It was like
Yeah.
some of my favorite memories. I'm like, oh my gosh, those years, if only we could get one of them back.
I know. Time goes by so fast.
It really does.
Yeah. What's a place that you really loved?
I'm similar. Like, if I'm going to Europe or I know people who are, I will always recommend Greece and Italy. I just think they're just so epic and stunning. Greece is a little bit harder with kids. Italy's easier, I think. Again, I love the coast in Tuscany, and I love. I've only been on the Tuscan coast and like up through Rome and all the hot spots, Florence, and that part of Italy, as well as Venice. But in Greece, we went pretty well every year while I was living there. And we went during the colder months to an island called Crete. And there's this beautiful spot, Falasarna beach. It's like pink sand and super quiet and authentically Greek.
Right.
Not a lot of tourists there. Yeah. And then there's other spots in Greece like that we've been, aside from the big ones like Santorini, Mykonos. We went to some islands as well that are really big and popular now, but were not when we went. And I cannot wait to go back. And the reason we do all this traveling, my husband's Swiss, his parents still live in Europe. They frequent these spots. I think my most epic trip I ever went on was our honeymoon, which was actually gifted to us at our wedding. I have a really cool story about kind of at the time thinking about that. It was almost like in my vision board, and then it happened, which was really cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we ended up getting gifted flights to go to Moria and Bora Bora.
Oh, wow.
And that was
It's on the list.
absolutely insane. And we always say, like, once our kids are a bit older and can really appreciate it, it would be cool to go do like our 25th wedding anniversary there with them. And the scuba dive, we didn't scuba dive, but like the snorkeling and the stuff we swam with manta rays and stingrays and shark. I don't think I'd do that now looking back. That was kind of crazy.
Right.
But really amazing
Yeah.
experience. So
Yeah. There's so many places to go.
really.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you one last question, and then you can feel free to ask me one. Here's the surprise question. You've often said, or you've said in part of what you sent me, was you only get one shot at life. And a huge reason why you took the risk you did in leaving teaching and getting into real estate was because you didn't want to look back and be 100 years old and wish that you had taken the risk. I feel similar. I convinced my Swiss husband, who learned English as like his fourth language, to move from Switzerland to Canada to get into real estate. So we can relate on the risk side of things. What is the biggest risk you've taken? And is there anything right now that you want to tweak or take a risk on in your life to be more alignment in the vision you have for your family? So what's your biggest risk you've taken? And then what's the next big or mini risk that you'd like to take to get more in alignment
Right.
with future?
I mean, the leaving the very secure job, for real estate that's probably up there. I mean, there's a lot, right? I mean, you look back and you're like, certain decisions that you make, leads how your life is going to go, and you can't go back, right? So, one was when I, started working at Deerhurst. It was a bit of a risk too, right? So it was when I first started working there, it was the first summer out of school that I didn't go back home. Right. And that was, it may not sound like a big risk, but
like
at the time it was, right? Like, it was something that I thought would be, really cool. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have met my wife. Right.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, a big risk is, it's relative, at the time. That to me, it was. What I did was, I was just leaving class and I saw a board that said, job fair, so I went home, changed my clothes onto something a little bit more appropriate for an interview, printed out some resumes, and went there. And then the guy, he hired me on the spot to work at Deerhurst. To me, that was kind of a risk, because one of the biggest risks is it led to something that basically shaped my whole life.
Yeah.
But I think that's, relatively speaking, maybe not, a massive risk, but at the time it kind of was.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So in terms of, building up my business, working with you and the brokerage to, help expand the business, that's, that's definitely something. Continuing on with some investments, right? Investing, some people may not agree with me, and that's okay, but you don't have to invest in Ontario.
No.
Right? You can invest in the United States. That's completely fine.
Yeah.
Right? You can invest overseas if you want. That's completely fine as well. There's so many opportunities. And I think that people need to sometimes, just expand their thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And that could be a risk too, right? But you just to expand that thinking and see opportunities in different places. And when you see an opportunity, don't be afraid to seize it, basically, to pursue it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree. So yeah, taking a risk I agree with you. It doesn't always have to be called a risk. It can just be taking action on something in alignment with your values that's going to get you closer towards your vision for your life.
Of course.
Sometimes it can feel like a risk, but oftentimes it's just taking aggressive action towards things that are going to propel you into the future that you're being called to.
Exactly. And surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, right? You surround yourself with people who are successful.
Yeah.
Right? People who want to better themselves, because then it will drive you to, be like that as well. But you might see somebody else's stories and, get some inspiration from it. But I think it's really important. The people that you surround yourself with, that's kind of the person you're going to maybe become a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I think that's a fact. I think there's a fact that when you surround yourself, the 5 people you spend the most time with is actually you become like them.
Right.
Just over time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to ask me a question, but we'll close with that. And then that will be our podcast for today until the next one.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're building up, a business that is very successful. What's some advice that you could give to a younger generation, to help them to feel inspired?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I think looking back at my, career or building my family, the one thing that I think there's a couple things. One is don't have fear. So take risks.
Yeah.
Take action. I was always naturally inclined to do things competitively in a leadership role and take those risks. I remember back in my first year of university, I had a clipboard passed around and I signed up for finding out information about running a painting company in my local neighborhood.
Okay.
Like so random. It was called Student Works Painting. And
Right.
after signing that clipboard, one thing led to the other. And I said to my parents, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make $10,000 as a 17-year-old painting people's houses. They thought I was nuts. Ended up doing more than that. Bought my first house the following year.
Wow.
They told me if I did hit that goal, they'd match my down payment, and I bought a house in London, Ontario.
Amazing.
So and just because you can't buy a house in London, Ontario for the same amount now, doesn't mean that you can't look, like you said, outside of the realm of your physical location on where opportunities lie. You take action, you follow other people's formulas, don't be lazy, keep at it.
Huge. Yeah.
And the world is your oyster, honestly.
100%.
I think even tenfold today than it was because of the power of social media and AI. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we'll be here all day.
I don't think the youth of today have a disadvantage. I actually think that if they put their mind to it and plug into the right things and the right people and stay grounded and humble, they have an opportunity tenfold what we did growing up.
Yeah, I agree. And know your strengths,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Zone in on your unique ability and really understand who you are and allow your authentic self to shine.
Yes, I agree.
Well, thank you for that
Thank you.
amazing session today. I appreciate your time and can't wait to see all ahead for you and watch you get to be the #1 spot in Canada in the future.
Here's the hoping.
All right.
Thank you so
Matt.
much. I appreciate it.